time in the United States. I'm on my way to pick up Pfynix, our latest royal at the ranch. And I'm bringing you with me this morning to show you the drive that I have to take from our ranch to the FedEx hub, which is located in Colorado Springs. This is Colorado State Highway 94. And our ranch is only 1 block south of here, so it's a pretty easy drive, and it takes us straight into Colorado Springs. And those are the Rocky Mountains, and that is Pikes Peak, about 14,000 feet high, and a popular destination for visitors to Colorado. We get to see a beautiful view of the Rocky Mountains and of Pikes Peak from our ranch every day, as long as it's not too cloudy. So it's really a beautiful drive for me to pick up snakes at the FedEx hub, pretty much until I get into the city. Now we're in the city, we're in Colorado Springs, and so now my view's not as pretty. I get to see traffic and cars and people. You can tell I'm getting close to the hub because look at all of the FedEx vehicles leaving to go start their deliveries for the day. I always like to arrive at the hub as soon as they open at 9 a.m. so that the snake has to stay in the box and out of my custody for the least amount of time possible. I always prefer for the shippers to deliver the snakes to their FedEx hub on their end as late as possible right before they close, and then I pick up on my end as soon as I possibly can right when FedEx opens. And this is the FedEx ship center that the snakes go to directly from the Colorado Springs airport. And I always get there right at 9 o'clock to pick up. Now here I am with Pfynix in her box. So I do the unboxing right in my cargo van, and I always switch the snakes from the container they arrive in into a transport tub because it's about a 45-minute to an hour drive back to the ranch. And of course, that could go a little faster or be slower depending on traffic. It should be obvious by now that Pfynix came from Kinova Reptiles, and that's where she started her life, and that's where her journey began. She was hatched on November 1st, 2021, and she was actually part of this clutch here, and I will link this video in the YouTube description. I picked her out with the help of Summer Grace Mitchell, who was kind enough to take additional videos of some of the snakes in the clutch and do some temperament testing for me so that I could choose the right snake for our program here at Behavior Education. And this is just a clip that Summer took of Pfynix. She's the one that is crawling off the cart. And it gives me a little bit of an idea of her temperament and behavior, and I can compare that to one of her clutch mates. And after I chose Pfynix and paid for her, they held her there for a few weeks, and they did nidovirus testing for me, and Summer did a couple of more temperament tests, and she kept some records. And then she gave Pfynix some small enrichment items in her tub while she was waiting to come here, an egg carton and a paper towel roll. And then she had a couple of exercise periods out on the cart like you saw there. And this is the temperament test that Summer filled out for me, and this is the nidovirus test that they did before shipping her. So Pfynix had quite a bit done with her before coming to me. And I'm very thankful that Kinova worked with me and that Summer took extra time to do these extra things with Pfynix because she was going to be coming here and be part of our snake training and snake behavior program. It was really important to me that we had some preliminary information about her and that we got an animal that was a good fit for our program. Usually when I pick up new snakes, I put the bag or the deli container, whatever they arrived in, into the transport container, and I just open it and allow the snakes to come out on their own. In Pfynix's case, Summer had been handling her, and I could feel her moving around in the bag. When I opened the bag, her head was facing the wrong direction, and I knew that she couldn't see the opening. And she looked fairly relaxed. So I went ahead and assisted her out just a little bit. And then I left the bag in there with her in case she felt more comfortable with its familiar scent, in case she wanted to go back in the bag. But as you see, she's comfortable and relaxed, or at least as comfortable and relaxed as any snake that I've seen on arrival. Many of them do not come out at all. Some of them are striking, some of them are freezing. I mean, frozen as in fear, not frozen as in too cold. Sometimes they're comfortable and relaxed. Sometimes they're energetic. Sometimes they're curious, especially the Morelia Bredli usually just bolt right out of the bag and are climbing everywhere. I felt like Pfynix was pretty chilled out. She was comfortable and relaxed, and she was curious about what was going on. And she actually started looking out of the tub and kind of looking at the environment as a whole. And she actually started to climb out of the tub right when I was getting ready to put the lid on. So we sat in the parking lot for a few minutes before we headed back to the ranch. And I just let her get her bearings. I have a refrigerator in the van. I sometimes take this van on long trips so I can actually sleep in it and live in it for a night or two. So she's climbing on top of the refrigerator. And I was just really pleased that she wasn't fearful. She wasn't defensive. She seemed cautious but curious. And she was very, very beautiful. I could tell that she had had some habituation to an environment outside of the tub. But we did have to head home, so I gently put her back in the travel tote and got ready to put the lid on, although she just didn't seem interested in what was in the travel container. She had lots of hides in there and lots of things to climb on, and even a humid hide. I just bring everything that you could possibly think of that the snake might need, just in case we have an emergency and something happens and I can't make it home. If there's a wildfire or some other event and I can't get back to the ranch right away, I have to shelter in place, or there's an evacuation order, then I just want to make sure that she has everything she needs in the travel bin in case we have to stay in the van or stay in a hotel or something. So now she starts to investigate the bin, and I feel a little bit more comfortable putting the lid on and heading home. I just don't like to slam the lid down on their head and stuff them in a bin if they're being curious and they're engaging and they're investigating the world at large. I like to allow them to do that. But now she's starting to investigate what's inside the bin. So we're going to head home. And then this was when I was stopped in traffic on the way back to the ranch. I thought, well, I'm stopped in traffic. I will check on her and see what she's doing. And she was just exploring all of the stuff inside the travel container. And that black thing that she's climbing on is a tub perch from Specialty Enclosure Designs. And she, again, is just pretty comfortable and relaxed. So now we're home. This is her enclosure card, and she's in a 3x2x2 black box cages enclosure. I have a 6 snake in our quarantine room, so I was going to quarantine her within her larger habitat. In other words, I was just going to put her quarantine tub inside the habitat that she would eventually live in and seal that up. Also, she had already had some preliminary viral testing, and she had been in a special projects room at Kinova after I paid for her. So I felt okay doing it this way with this particular snake. However, as you see here, she came out of her tub and she was exploring the habitat at large. And I let her do that. What I thought was going to be a few minutes, it turned into all day. And now we're 7 or 8 hours later, it's nighttime, and she still hasn't gone back into her little tub. She's in her sky hide, and she's climbing on her rock cave. So she's still exploring the habitat at large and hasn't voluntarily gone back into her little quarantine tub. I just let her do this because I don't want to interfere with this activity that she's choosing to do. So now it's the next day and she's in her rock cave. She never did go back into her tub. I just left the lid off. I left the lid partially on the tub, but partially off, so she could go in there if she wanted, but she ended up not going back in there. She ended up spending tons of time in her sky hide and in this rock cave. So I ended up decorating the whole enclosure with all of the stuff that I had in storage that I had planned to put in the enclosure once she was ready to move into it. And now I'm going to just show you some footage of her exploring, and I think I'll speed it up. This exploration footage is sped up 2 times, so she isn't actually moving this quickly and her movements aren't this jerky. I just wanted to reiterate that while you're watching her explore, I sped the footage up. And you're probably wondering by this point too what color she is, and she's a blackhead leopard, so she's a really dark brown black with a really dark chocolate brown head, and she's got gold markings, and she's really rich colored. The colors on her are just very, very rich and deep, and dark browns and blacks and golds. So she's very, very beautiful. Now I'm flashing you back to her very first night here on the 14th. I wanted to point out that I had a frozen thawed hopper mouse on a target in her enclosure, and I typically do that with all of the snakes when they arrive to let them know that resources are available in their new habitat. And some of them actually eat their very first night here. Now, she investigated that rodent thoroughly, and she investigated the target, and she was very interested in it. She was not afraid of it, but she ended up not eating it, and I took it out after just a few minutes. This is Pfynix's third night here. It's before dark, but she had been basking and then got into an ambush position. And I thought I would go ahead and pair the target with food again and just give her an opportunity to eat if she wanted. But even if they don't eat, if they're not afraid of the target and they're investigating the target, or at least they're noticing the target paired with food, it's still training. It's still a learning experience. They're still learning to associate that target with food, whether they eat the food or not. Keep in mind that she had only ever eaten live at Kinova. Now, she had seen this target before, because Summer showed her the target when she was fed the last time. And she didn't really seem afraid of the target. She seemed more unsure of the food. And she investigates it briefly, and then she just kind of starts to move off. So I leave it alone. But then she got into an ambush position, and she behaved like she was kind of coming back to look for the food. So I waited a few minutes and offered again. And this time she takes it. So this is her first meal with us. It's a frozen thawed hopper mouse, and it's her third night here. She ate it with no problem. And I'm going to flash forward to the future and tell you that 7 days later, actually 5-6 days later, I already saw hunting behavior again. I already saw her getting into ambush positions around her enclosure. And she looks like she's ready to eat again. Now, I'm narrating this on Thursday, December 23rd, 2021, which is the day that we always release our Royals at the Ranch every Thursday. And she is in ambush position now. She looks like she's ready to eat again, and I bet if I offered, she would eat. So I may do that after I'm done narrating this footage and see what happens. But she's been a super outgoing girl her first week here. And that's really what this video is about, is her first week with us. And if I didn't know it was her first week with us, I wouldn't have guessed that, because of how engaging she's been with us, looking at us and not hiding when we walk by the enclosure. Now, we haven't been taking her out or anything. I've just been letting her investigate her enclosure. She has plenty to investigate inside this habitat area. And so I don't feel any need to take her out of there or mess with her or anything. I think this should keep her occupied for quite a while. But she comes right up to the window. She looks out. She doesn't retreat or hide when we walk by, when the dogs walk by. And she's already eaten once. I bet she'd eat again. I wouldn't be able to guess that she'd only been here a week watching her behavior. She's utilizing all the space in her enclosure. She's doing a lot of exploring and basking, and she uses her humid hide during the day to sleep in, and then she usually comes out for a little while and basks, and then at night she comes out and explores and usually finds a few spots and moves around those few spots and gets into ambush position for a few minutes in each area. So I'm really pleased with her, and I think there's two factors contributing to her behavior. One is that she arrived here and was just 6 weeks old. And so far, all of the royal pythons that I have gotten at 11 weeks and younger have had more bold and outgoing temperaments and adapted to the environmental complexity and the training that we do here very, very well and very, very quickly. In addition to Pfynix's young age, the second thing in her favor is that Summer did some activities with her while she was still at Kinova. She had 2 temperament tests, and she had 2 20-minute exercise sessions on the activity cart, and she was also handled for nidovirus testing. In addition to that, Summer put an egg carton in her tub and a paper towel roll in her tub. So she already had some exposure to environmental complexity and activities beyond just her hatchling tub. Everybody, thank you so much for watching. This is Pfynix, as I am narrating this for Royals at the Ranch on Thursday, December 23rd, 2021. This is what she is doing at about 3:30 in the morning Mountain Standard Time here in Colorado. She's on the ground inside her holy roller ball in an ambush position. She looks like she is just waiting to see if food is going to come in front of her face. But I thought I would come full circle. You got to see her still at Kinova, you got to see me pick her up, and now you get to see her up until the very second I am closing out this video. Everybody, thank you so much for watching. Please remember to always be kind, love your animals, and send me photos of royals in your homes so that I can do that segment next time. I didn't get any photos this week. Everybody have a happy holiday, and we will see you next time. I thought I would share with you in this afterword that Pfynix is eating. After I finished editing the video, I paired the target with food a few inches from her in her holy roller, and it only took her maybe 10 or 15 seconds to decide that she was gonna go ahead and eat. She looked at it and then she cautiously approached it, and I could tell once she made the decision to eat, because there was a deliberate behavior change from cautious investigation to I've decided to eat and I'm snatching the food, and there she is eating. So good girl, Pfynix.